They were billionaires, the richest of the rich, living a life and having opportunities most of us could only dream of. Until it all came crashing down. Let's take a look at 5 billionaires who ended up getting prison time.
A healthcare pioneer is being compared to visionaries like Bill Gates and Steve Jobs. This morning, Elizabeth Holmes is part of the new Time 100 list just out. Her mission is to allow blood testing in every drugstore at a fraction of Medicare costs. Her innovation has fueled anticipation in the healthcare industry and made Holmes the world's youngest female self-made billionaire.
She was once hailed as the world's youngest self-made female billionaire, with a net worth of $4.5 billion at age 30. Elizabeth Holmes, the founder and former CEO of the health technology company Theranos, faced criminal charges related to the fraudulent claims made by the company regarding its blood testing technology.
Theranos founder Elizabeth Holmes has now officially been indicted on federal wire fraud charges. The U.S. Attorney's Office accusing her of engaging in a multi-million-dollar scheme to defraud investors, doctors, and patients. Former Theranos COO and President Ramesh Sunny Alwani was also indicted. If convicted, they both face a maximum sentence of 20 years in prison and fines. Theranos announced Holmes has stepped down as CEO.
In 2018, she was indicted on multiple counts of wire fraud and conspiracy to commit wire fraud. The charges stemmed from allegations that Holmes misled investors, regulators, and patients about the capabilities and accuracy of Theranos' blood testing technology. During her trial, which began in 2021, prosecutors presented evidence showing that Holmes had knowingly exaggerated the capabilities of Theranos' technology, which claimed to conduct a wide range of tests using just a few drops of blood. Testimony from former employees and investors painted a picture of a company built on deceit and falsified data. After an 18-week trial, the jury concluded that Elizabeth Holmes had indeed deceived investors as well as patients.
A jury has convicted the Silicon Valley prodigy on 4 counts of fraud and conspiracy in a partial verdict. This is a case in a trial that has fascinated much of the country, and it's complicated. A promising mind considered by many to be the next Steve Jobs of the medical world, who would then change the face of medicine. Instead, she could be facing decades of her life in prison, accused of deceiving some of the world's top scientists and the public.
Tonight, former Theranos CEO Elizabeth Holmes guilty on 4 of the 11 counts of fraud and conspiracy. 1 count of conspiracy to commit wire fraud against Theranos investors and 3 other counts of wire fraud against investors. Holmes found not guilty on the 4 other counts at her former blood testing startup. The jury deadlocked on 3 of the remaining counts, taking 50 hours to reach a verdict in the case that captivated the country. Holmes showing no visible reaction as the verdict was read. The trial taking over Silicon Valley as the one-time billionaire at the now defunct blood testing technology startup, claiming to have created blood tests that require only small amounts of blood. Those claims later proven to be false.
In January 2022, she was found guilty on multiple counts of fraud and conspiracy. Then, in September 2022, Holmes was sentenced to 11 years and 3 months to be served in the federal women's prison in Bryan, Texas. Her prison sentence was later reduced, with her release date moved up to August 2032. Despite the reduction, the guilty verdicts reflect Elizabeth Holmes' culpability in one of the most stunning cases of large-scale investor fraud in recent memory. In September 2020, when Forbes came out with their annual list of the 400 richest Americans, one of the 18 newcomers on the list was this man, 38-year-old Trevor Milton, with an estimated net worth of $3.1 billion. His empire rose and fell quickly, and once the Justice Department got involved, justice for Trevor Milton also came quickly. Milton, the founder and CEO of Nikola Corporation, was convicted of fraud after a jury found he had persistently lied about the company and defrauded investors. Milton had founded Nikola in 2014, claiming to design trucks that were powered by electricity and hydrogen. His scheme involved defrauding investors by making false and misleading statements about Nikola's product and technology development. His arrest sent shockwaves throughout the business world. Federal prosecutors found that Milton made false claims about nearly all aspects of Nikola's business. His false claims inflated Nikola's share price, which ended up crashing due to the fraud allegations. Nikola's stock went public in June 2020 and was immediately valued at over $20 billion despite not delivering a single vehicle. However, skepticism grew about Milton's claims, leading to a collapse after years of hype.
Billionaire tycoon who promised to revolutionize the trucking industry with electric vehicles now indicted for fraud. Prosecutors saying Trevor Milton, quote, lied about nearly every aspect of the business. Victor Okendo has the latest.
His company marketed as a game changer.
We've built something that no one else thought was possible.
Cleaner vehicles powered by hydrogen and electricity.
For every doubter out there that said that there's no way this is true, how can that be possible? We've done it.
But now the billionaire founder of Nikola Motor Company, Trevor Milton, is being charged with securities fraud.
Do you have anything to say about the charges?
We have a statement. Check it out.
Milton, seen leaving a Manhattan courthouse Thursday, charged by federal prosecutors who say he lied about every aspect of his truck of the future.
Milton claimed that the Nikola One could be driven, when in fact, the closest it ever came to driving was when a group of Nikola engineers took it to the top of a hill and rolled it down so it could be filmed for a commercial.
After his arrest in July 2021, Trevor Milton's federal fraud trial began in September of 2022. After a one-month trial, he was found guilty on 2 counts of wire fraud and 1 count of securities fraud.
Trevor Milton, the 40-year-old founder of electric truck manufacturer Nikola, convicted by a federal jury Friday of 1 count of securities fraud and 2 counts of wire fraud. The jury finding he lied to investors about the progress his company had made in producing zero-emission 18-wheel trucks fueled by electricity or hydrogen, now facing decades in prison. Milton founding the company 6 years ago in a Utah basement with no engineering training, seemingly positioned to be the next Elon Musk. After a successful stock market run, Milton going on a spending spree, Nikola shares value eventually surpassing Ford Motor in June 2020. But soon after, an investment firm accusing Milton of making false claims, using this video as an example, showing a truck rolling down a hill to make it look like a working prototype. Prosecutors saying its truck was really a General Motors vehicle with Nikola's logo on it. The U.S. Attorney's Office saying, let this case serve as a warning to anyone who plays fast and loose with the truth to get investors to part with their money. It won't end well.
Milton faced up to 60 years in prison, but received far less. In December 2023, Milton was sentenced to 4 years in prison. He was also sentenced to 3 years of supervised release, ordered to forfeit property he owned, and was required to pay a $1 million fine. This case serves as a cautionary tale to startup founders and corporate executives about the consequences of misleading investors.
Tonight, the cryptocurrency world is reeling after the meltdown of one of its most popular trading platforms. The exchange, FTX, filed for bankruptcy protection today as fallen crypto king Sam Bankman-Fried stepped down as CEO.
Tonight, a stunning crash. FTX CEO Sam Bankman-Fried had become one of the richest men in the world. His net worth was more than $26 billion. It's now down to zero.
He was worth over $26 billion at one point and was on top of the world until it all came crashing down. Sam Bankman-Fried, the former CEO of FTX, faced a high-profile trial after the collapse of the cryptocurrency exchange. At trial, he was found guilty of 7 counts of fraud and conspiracy. The charges included wire fraud, conspiracy to commit wire fraud, and conspiracy to commit commodities fraud, all targeting customers of FTX. Additionally, he faced charges of money laundering and conspiracy to commit securities fraud, which involved making false statements about FTX's financial health to investors.
Tonight, the once crowned king of crypto, now adorned in handcuffs. Former billionaire FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried arrested in the Bahamas today following the historic financial collapse of his massive cryptocurrency exchange. Attorneys for the Southern District of New York announcing the arrest, saying in a statement, earlier this evening, Bahamian authorities arrested Samuel Bankman-Fried at the request of the U.S. government based on a sealed indictment filed by the SDNY. setting the stage for extradition to the U.S., where the 30-year-old former founder is expected to stand trial. The arrest, a final blow to the crypto firm's stunning implosion that left billions of investor funds missing, starting in early November, when crypto media outlet CoinDesk reported on potential problems with Bankman-Fried's other company, Alameda, a hedge fund. Soon, concerned investors were demanding their money from FTX, causing what amounted to a run on the bank, forcing the exchange into bankruptcy. Bankman-Fried then stepped down as CEO, with Congress investigating.
The trial was a significant event, drawing widespread attention throughout the crypto world and beyond, as it highlighted the risks and regulatory gaps in the cryptocurrency industry. After the guilty verdicts, Bankman-Fried's defense team argued for leniency. However, the prosecution pushed for a severe sentence due to the magnitude of the fraud and its impact on FTX customers and investors. After all, it is estimated that over 3 million customers of FTX lost money when the exchange crashed.
The sentencing of former cryptocurrency billionaire Sam Bankman-Fried, a judge handing down a 25-year sentence in one of the largest financial fraud cases this country has ever seen.
Just 2 years ago, FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried mingled with the rich and powerful, his company's name on sports arenas, ads in the Super Bowl.
It's FTX. It's a safe and easy way to get into crypto.
I don't think so.
But tonight, the one-time king of crypto is off to federal prison for 25 years. Before he was sentenced today, Bankman-Fried apologized for his $11 billion fraud. I made a series of bad decisions, he said. It haunts me every day. But the judge not buying it, noting there was never a word of remorse for the commission of terrible crimes. In court today, one victim told the judge he lost money I wanted to spend on a family home. The judge saying he received more than 200 letters. A man with 2 young children writing, he lost everything. It was my life savings, and now I am left with nothing. The judge said he wanted Bankman-Fried in prison long enough so he cannot commit another fraud. Otherwise, there is a risk that this man will be in a position to do something very bad in the future, and it is not a trivial risk.
Ultimately, the court sentenced Bankman-Fried to 25 years in prison. This sentence was shorter than the 40 to 50 years sought by prosecutors, but still reflected the gravity of his offenses. The sentencing also served as a stern warning to others in the financial sector about the consequences of engaging in similar fraudulent activities. J.Y. Lee, himself worth over $11 billion, is the vice chairman of Samsung, the South Korean conglomerate. He was convicted of bribery, embezzlement, and perjury in a case that led to the impeachment of President Park Geun-hye. In 2017, Lee was accused by South Korean prosecutors of bribery, embezzlement, and perjury. He was charged with bribing President Park and a friend of the president, offering $38 million in bribes in exchange for political favors.
Now, South Korean police have arrested J.Y. Lee, the boss of Samsung. Lee's under investigation for his suspected role in a corruption scandal that led to the impeachment of President Park Geun-hye.
Craig, how damaging is this affair for Samsung as a brand?
Bribery, embezzlement, perjury, hiding assets abroad, concealing profit gained from criminal acts. You'd think it's really going to hurt the company. Well, it really isn't. Samsung will recover from this. And the reason is that Samsung is a chaebol, which in Korean means wealth clan. It's a family-owned government conglomerate. It has a revolving door within the government. And J.Y. Lee, according to government prosecutors, appears to have just gotten a little too greedy for his own good. The important takeaway here, John, is the arrest of J.Y. Lee would be the equivalent of the FBI arresting Tim Cook if he were simultaneously the CEO of, say, HP, Dell, Raytheon, and a whole lot of other companies for bribing officials in exchange for merging, say, Apple and Google. That will give you an indication of how powerful J.Y. Lee is.
The case drew public attention, with sentiment turning against the large family-owned conglomerates which dominate the South Korean economy. In August 2017, Lee was found guilty on all charges and sentenced to 5 years in prison. However, in February 2018, his sentence was reduced to 2.5 years and suspended, leading to his release after a year of detention. The Supreme Court of South Korea later sent the case back for retrial. In January 2021, Li was again sentenced to 2 years and 6 months in prison by the Seoul High Court for bribery, embezzlement, and concealment of criminal proceeds worth over $6 billion.
J.Y. Lee arrived at court not knowing if he would be able to walk free again. As head of South Korea's biggest conglomerate, business groups had appealed for leniency. And Samsung itself has argued that Lee is essential to its day-to-day running, a claim disputed by critics of the so-called chaebol system of family-run businesses that still dominates the economy here. In 2017, Lee was found guilty of bribing disgraced former President Park Geun-hye and her longtime associate Choi Sun-sil to allow the smooth transition of power at Samsung from his father. He was released after 1 year of a 5-year prison sentence. The prosecution appealed, and last year Lee promised changes in his company's business practices in a bid to stay out of prison. It was widely seen as a bid to please the court ahead of this ruling. But it wasn't enough, and the court ordered Lee back into custody, ruling he'd concealed his multi-million-dollar bribe and also committed perjury in his explanation about it to the National Assembly. Rob McBride, Al Jazeera, Seoul.
Lee was returned to prison but was granted early release in August 2021. Despite serving prison time, Lee continues to be a significant figure in the global technology industry.
Changpeng Zhao has gone from flipping a burger in McDonald's to founding Binance, now the world's largest cryptocurrency exchange. Zhao, or CZ, as he's more commonly known among crypto enthusiasts, is now worth at least $100 billion. That's according to the Bloomberg Billionaires Index.
Changpeng Zhao is the founder and former CEO of Binance, the world's largest cryptocurrency exchange. With a net worth that at one point exceeded $100 billion, Zhao is considered one of the rock stars of the crypto world. However, in November 2023, Zhao, commonly known as CZ, pleaded guilty to violating the Bank Secrecy Act, or BSA, by failing to implement an effective anti-money laundering program. This violation allowed criminals to use Binance to move money connected to child sex abuse, drug trafficking, and terrorism. The Department of Justice announced that CZ's company, Binance Holdings Limited, also pleaded guilty to conspiracy to violate the BSA, failure to register as a money-transmitting business, and violating the International Emergency Economic Powers Act.
The head of cryptocurrency company Binance has pleaded guilty to failing to maintain an effective anti-money laundering program. Changpeng Zhao, also known as CZ, will step down as the company's CEO as a part of this deal. Federal authorities say Binance committed a long list of crimes under his leadership. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen detailed just some of those crimes at a news conference Tuesday.
Binance was allowing illicit actors to transact freely, supporting activities from child sexual abuse to illegal narcotics to terrorism across more than 100,000 transactions. That includes transactions associated with terrorist groups like Hamas's Al-Qassam brigades, Palestinian Islamic Jihad, Al-Qaeda, and ISIS.
Federal officials also say Zhao was warned about legal violations, but ignored those warnings as well as recommended safeguards.
The company was accused of prioritizing growth, market share, and profits over compliance with U.S. law. Binance agreed to pay $4.3 billion in penalties and will undertake compliance enhancement and remediation and retain an independent monitor. In April 2024, Zhao came before U.S. District Court Judge Richard Jones for sentencing. The prosecution was seeking a 3-year prison sentence. However, the judge sentenced Zhao to 4 months in prison, significantly less than what the prosecution had recommended.
Unprecedented sentence in a white-collar case. Today, a Seattle judge ordered the co-founder of the world's largest crypto firm to serve 4 months in prison. The Department of Justice says that his company, Binance, failed to prevent money laundering. King 5's Erica Zugo reports.
Changpeng Zhao, known by the crypto community as CZ, left the federal courthouse in downtown Seattle Tuesday with his head held high. He told the judge he recognized the seriousness of his mistakes and pledged to spend the next chapter of his life building a free education platform for underprivileged kids. Sketches show moments in the packed courtroom full of CZ supporters and federal attorneys who built a case zeroing in on the harm they say his decisions created. Zhao has already paid a $50 million fine, and Binance will pay a $4 billion fine. He will keep the rest of his fortune, and Binance will continue operating.
The judge cited Zhao's straightforward acknowledgement of guilt and his exceptional acceptance of responsibility as mitigating factors in his sentencing. This high-profile case and sentencing highlighted the importance of compliance with government regulations in the cryptocurrency industry. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, leave a comment below, and we'll see you in the next video.